Hi, so this is part three of the video series on developing a Q app on Quarto. So, in the last video, what we did was we were able to authenticate a user and save what user data in a global variable called user. Just to recap, this is what we did. We used the Quarto request get user account. We were able to get the account address and also the public key. And with the address, we were able to get their name, and um, we saved that to the user in the Redux store. So let's just look at that. Auth slice, so it would be right over here. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is what we're going to be doing in this video is publishing a post. Now that we got the name, that was a prerequisite in publishing a post, is we need the user's name. Okay, so we only have one page, which is called home, and I put some logic, some functions, and also a input and an action button. So if we could do npm run dev, we'll be able to see how it looks like in development. So this is how it looks like. And so they'll be able to, I don't know, write a bunch of text and then post, and they'll publish a JSON to QDN, which the next video will be able to fetch all the posts and display them for the user to see. Okay, so let's get to this. All right, so like I said, we have a text maximum of 250 characters, and we have a button with a um, function called handle post. So let's go to handle post and start the process of publishing a post. Okay, so let's look at the Quarto request action that we'll have to do in order to publish a resource. So a resource could be any sort of data. The only limit there is a 500 single publish limit for now. In the future, that won't be an issue. So you can find exactly which parameters are available for this action. If you go to let's go to it, Quarto.dev. Go to Quarto.dev, and the top right you'll see documentation. You go there. If you go here, Quarto request on the bottom left, uh, you have the list of all the actions, and here we have publish QDN resource. So here we have the function, all the different parameters, and here we get the response. All right, so let's look at this really quickly. So we have the action name, of course, publish QDN resource. We have the name, which will be the user. We have the service. There are different services on Quarto that we could use. We're going to be using blog_post to create our posts. We have an identifier, which we'll talk about later. We have you could either use data 64 data to publish, or you could use a file object. You can use both. So we're going to be creating a JSON. I'll show you that later. So we're going to be using this one, data64, which is a base64 string. And just to, if you want to see all the services that we have, you just have to go here in resources and under service types over here, and you'll get a list of all the services. Okay, let's go. I'm going to just go back here to publish QDN resource. All right, let's go here. Okay, so the first thing we need is the name. Like we already got that information in the last video, so we have, just to remind you, we have a use selector we're getting the username from that user object that I talked about earlier, and it has a name value. Okay, so we have that. We have the username. Sorry, we have the name. We have the action type. We have the service, which is going to be a blog post, which I just chose. I think is the most fitting one, but you could maybe choose another service. We're gonna create the base64 now. So okay, so let's start line by line. Okay, we come in. One thing that we need for sure is the text. You know, if the person hasn't written anything as a post, as a post message, then, well, we're going to tell them, hey, you need to at least enter some text. Okay, so we have that validation. We also need their name. So if they're not authenticated, well, we're going to have to tell them, hey, you cannot post without a name. And here's where we're going to create our JSON. Okay, so we have for this version, I always put a versioning number in case I want to switch it up in the future. Then I'm able to control it. Oh, if it's version 1, do this. Version 2, do that. So that's pretty good to have. And also, I just have the text. That's for the first version. I just need the text uh, as part of the JSON. Okay, so what we need to do now is we have to convert this JavaScript object to a base64. So I have this function called object to base64. If you download this folder, you'll have that function as well. And what that function will do is just convert this to a base64 string. So it'll look like uh, I guess I don't have I don't have an example of a base64 string. Oh, here. That's the beginning of a base64 string. In any case. All right, continuing. So now over here, I have this base64. So I put in the data64 variable. All right. Before getting to the description and talk about metadata, let's go into the identifier. So identifier is under a name. So let's say the user that's coming in has a name of John. Okay. So under John, you could publish within the service blog post resources that you take a unique identifier under his name. Now it's important to give a unique identifier for each post that John creates because let's say he creates a post with identifier 1, okay? And then he creates a new post with the same identifier 1. Well, he's not going to be creating a new post. He's going to be updating the previous one he made. So it's really important to have a unique identifier. All right, so this is how I create the identifiers for this type of uh, for in this use case. Okay, creating posts. Because don't forget, now we're creating a post. One user is creating a post, but afterwards, in our next video, what we want to do is show all the posts for all users. Okay, and the way we fetch posts, we'll see in the next video, is that we will query by identifiers. Okay, so what we need to include in an identifier, first of all, is we have to have a portion identifier that tells us which app are we. So that's why I have a unique app ID, and I created by the name of the Q app. So in this case, it's called Qorbit. It's called the Qorbit, BIT, sorry, no E, Qorbit. So and you're able to get the name of the Q app using window._QDN name. So now we have the name of the application, and to give it a more unique name for the identifier, I put the first 5 characters of also the uh, the the address of the Qblog's account. Okay, so here I have the Qblog name, and then I go fetch. Um, I do this quarter request get name data, and the reason I'm doing this is that it'll give me the address, which is .owner. .owner is going to be the address of of um, of this owner name, which is in this case it's Qorbit. So that's the address of Qorbit, and that's Qorbit, the name. So to create something really unique, that's what I do. I take the first 5 of the address and I combine it with the name of the application. But you don't have to do that. I guess you could just forget about using the address and just put the name of the application like that. Okay. All right, so that's the first part of the identifiers. I need to know for each post that somebody's publishing in my Q app, I need to put in the identifier something that will reference my application. So it could be just a name, because afterwards you have to query all the posts in this service blog posts You need to query them all and get all the resources under this service that belong to your application. So you need a way to do that. Then what I also do is so after I give a unique identifier for my application, I separate each concern by an underscore, so it's easier later to separate them. And this I'm doing a post, so I just put okay, this is a post, you know. Afterwards, I put also the user that's creating the post, their username. And lastly, I just put a random ID using one of the libraries that we installed in the beginning of this course, so short unique ID. So I put a length of 10, so it's going to generate for me a unique 10 character ID. And I put in there to make sure that my identifier will always be unique. Let's say I didn't have this. Well, let's say we didn't have this. We didn't have this. Okay. Let's say the user John creates his first post. Well, this will be always the same in every post because that's the app name plus that's the app reference. Post, well, that's like a fixed thing. It's not dynamic. And then username, well, then it's John, right? Well, so then it's not going to create a new post. It's always going to just be updating the first one that he made. So we need to create every time he creates a new post, we need it to be unique. All right. Okay, so that's all you need. And the metadata, I forgot. Okay. So when you're creating a resource, you for each resource, we have a couple of fields that we could put, and it's part of the metadata. So this metadata is useful in the future to be able to query. So if you want to search, you'll be able to search by description. Other other metadata fields are, let's go back here. We have title, we have description, we have category, we have tag, we have up to 5 tags. But I would just allow the users to only do 3 tags and then maybe use tag 4 and 5 for other things. And we'll get to that in a different video, but whatever. Anyways, those are the different meta data fields, and they're all optional. Uh, And for posts, I'm only going to use description. Why description? Well, because we have a lot of room. We're able to put a maximum of 240 characters. I'm only going to put it up to 180. But what we could do with this metadata is when let's say, we'll see this in the next video, but when we query, let's say all the posts, the first thing that we'll be able to see is the metadata. Uh, we'll be able to see for each post the title, description, or whatever. It's going to display first. And at the same time, for each of those posts, we're going to also uh, fetch their actual JSON that we're saving over here, this post object. But this takes a bit of time. So until we get that data, we could just display as a preview the description. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be using it for, using the description for as a preview until we're able to fetch the JSON because it's going to take a bit of time, you know, maybe a couple seconds. That's what I do in Qblog. In Qblog, if we go back here, all right. Let's see if we could. It's a little bit slow because I'm recording. Okay, so if we go here, Qblog, and we open this up. All right, let's just accept that. Okay, so okay, so now so on the first thing you'll see is you don't see images, right? They're loading, but you do see like the title and description. And the reason for it is those are the metadata. And it's only when uh, the JSON is fetched that it replaces, you see it replaced the time as well. It replaces the time, it will replace the description. But the description might be the same because I'm just, unless they updated their post. This Well, actually, no. Even if they update a post, I do recreate the description metadata. So it's a good placeholder until the JSON comes in. You'll see it here. So if we go over here, search. So this is this is what I was talking about, the metadata. So these are all the posts. You see, we're using the same service, blog posts. This is what you do when you're fetching all the posts. And you only have access to the metadata plus the name, the service, and different other fields. But we don't have like the actual content of the blog that we're fetching separately, and because it takes a bit of time. So the first thing we'll show is as a placeholder, we'll show the description, the title, and when the JSON does return, we're going to replace those placeholder text with the actual content. So, anyways, long story short is it's good to use the metadata as placeholders until the actual data comes. And also in the future, it's going to be good to because we don't have the we'll be able to query by description and title. Okay. All right. So I think we have everything now. So what I'm doing here, the description that I'm using, it's just the text, and I'm taking the first 180 characters. So like I showed you earlier, the text I put a maximum of 250 because that's just, I mean, you could put as the J the blog post you could that could be as big as 500 megabytes, but uh, I'm creating like a Twitter similar application, and they have a limited number of characters. So I put 250, but that's not the case. That's just the use. That's just this application that I'm creating. You could create one with pretty much 500 megabytes for just strings. That's a that's a lot of characters. Anyways, so I'm just taking the first 180 because there's a maximum of 240 characters, but just I'm playing it safe, and I'm going to put it here as when publishing that resource, and that's all it is. And then you wait. Uh, you're gonna wait to see if it worked, it succeeded. If it succeeded, then after here, what you could do is you could store that post and inject it into the Redux store, where you'll have your list of all your posts. But we'll do that in the next video. In the next video, we'll handle that. This video is just for publishing. Okay, so perfect. Okay, do I have to go through anything else? So just a recap: we have a text, we have a button. The user types in that text input a text field, and they click post. It comes over here. Um, we create the JSON, which gets converted into a base 64. We do all the metadata, which we're only using description. We're creating a unique identifier, which is super important for querying afterwards. And then we're publishing it. All right, so that's it. What we're going to do is I'm going to do npm run build, and we're going to test it out on Quartal. So what we'll be able to do is, wait, let me just do npm run build. This might take a while because my computer's slow because of filming. So what right now, what we're going to be able to do as of part 3 is we're going to be able to authenticate the person. The user will be able to then publish a a post, and that's it. And then in the next video, we're going to be able to what we're going to do is we're going to fetch the posts that the user or any user has published and display them. Okay, so let's give that some time to build. And while that's building, I guess what I could show you is now we're not going to be displaying uh, the post. So we're gonna need a way to see if, hey, did it work? Uh, well, one way to know that it worked is that it doesn't give you any error, right? But another way to just be 100% sure is you can come here on api.quartal.org, and we'll be able to to query all the posts. So let's just go there. If we go to slash arbitrary slash no, this one, arbitrary slash resource slash search, and we'll get this ready. We haven't published yet, so we're gonna go service. Our service is blog underscore post. Um, Yeah, you know what we'll do? We will just query it like that. I'm sure we'll be able to find it. We're gonna go reverse. So we have the latest post first. Okay. And I'm also gonna set this up. Okay. Let's get ready for this. All right, we're gonna Qorbit. We're just gonna preview it. We're not gonna publish it. All right. Let's see if it's almost done. Yes. Okay. It didn't take as long as I thought. Okay. Publishing a post. Okay. So we're converting the disk folder into a zip file, and now we're gonna preview it. All right. Took a bit of time because my computer's slow. All right. Accept. Welcome Qorbit. And now we're gonna write our first post. Hi, this is my first post on Qorbit. Right? Okay. Moment of truth. Let's click on post. What happened now? There should be a modal asking me if I want to publish. Oh, I just realized I can't do this in preview mode. Can't do it. The reason being is I was getting the application's name by that window dot underscore QDN name or something like that, and you can't. I won't be able to access that under preview. Okay, so I'm gonna have to publish it. All right, all right. Let's go here. Publish. All right, it's published, and let's go look. Right, let's go. We have it here. Might take a while for it to publish. Oh, here, Qorbit. I'm gonna download it. We're gonna do the same process. We're gonna create a post. I like having a network tab open just in case an error occurs. It's much easier to debug if something goes wrong. Okay. Hi, this is my first post on Qorbit. Okay, let's clear that. All right, there we go. And then we press accept. Everything looks good. We look. So here, if it fails over here, it won't give you a 200 and it won't return anything. Right, so it looks like it worked. 200 okay. And of course, once you post, you should be clearing this afterwards. But that's whatever. That's that's development stuff. Okay, so uh, let's go back to over here. Let's see if sometimes it takes a little bit of time to reach the API. Nope, not yet. You know what we should do? Let's add a name. So it's gonna be under Qorbit because I was logged into that user. Uh, Qorbit add item. Yeah, okay, here it is. Perfect. All right, so there, it's published. Okay, well, that's the end of this video. And the next video will be showing you how to display all the users' posts. So this is our home page, right? We're gonna be displaying all the posts.